This is CNN Breaking News.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello viewers, back again with me Tetin and Breaking News CNN. Does the viewers know about shoes at all airport after passenger would accidentally virus? Expecting a new conference in the afternoon, terrifying incident at the Moses Airport in the U.S. Travelers mine up in Atlanta, the zone of a gunshot sparked panic. Get further showed as crowds struck bell at the Atlanta Heights Flight Jackson International Airport and spilled to the outside of the evacuation. A weapon went off by accident, but there was no way of knowing that at the time. Were at airport and what you saw, what happened. What do you know, Nadia?
This is CNN Breaking News.
Get over here. Get over here. Get over here.
Chaos as crowds scrambled at the Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson International Airport, and it spilled to the outside of the terminal. 3 people were injured in the evacuation, and officials say the weapon went off by accident, but of course there was no way of knowing that at the time. CNN's Nadia Romero is out.
Imagine how people responded to that, running and evacuating from the airport, going into terminals, leaving their luggage and all their belongings behind, hiding and hunkering down, believing that there was an active shooter. And that rumor spread much quicker than the truth. It was shortly after that the Atlanta airport came out and said this was not an active shooter, but instead an accidental discharge. But that information did not get to the thousands of passengers inside quick enough before so many of them became frustrated and confused and very fearful for their lives and the safety of everyone around them. So we do know that it was an accidental discharge. How exactly it happened? Well, a spokesperson from the Atlanta airport tells us that a passenger, was going through the TSA checkpoint area and it was spotted. His bag was flagged for having a firearm inside. Then the TSA agent went to look inside that bag and the passenger lunged inside, grabbing the firearm and then accidentally discharging that firearm. And when that happened, everything seemed to happen all at once. People began screaming and running and hiding, and that passenger fled, leaving the airport in the middle of all of that chaos. So the investigation continues into who exactly that man was, what his intentions were with that gun, but the domino effect still continued thereafter. There was a temporary ground stop, so all the flights coming in and out were stopped here at the airport. People were not allowed to take the trains or escalators. They were basically in a holding pattern while they waited for more information. Well, airport employees didn't want to scare anyone, so they gave very limited details, telling them only that there was an emergency at the airport and they weren't allowed to leave. Well, people then went to social media where they found plenty of misinformation and believed that there was an active shooter until the truth about what happened actually came out and spread to combat the active shooter rumor that was spreading so quickly. Now, right now, the airport is back to normal. You can probably hear the planes that are going all around me. That's a good sign here at the busiest airport in the country, because it was pretty silent there for a while this afternoon, with plenty of cars that had backed up trying to pick up passengers, drop people off, as so much information was going around about what happened. Now we're seeing this sense of normalcy coming back, but Pamela, this is far from over. The ATF, the FBI, the TSA, as well as Atlanta's airport officials are all investigating exactly what happened, and there is a big problem at airports all across the country. People bringing in guns, loaded or unloaded, to these TSA checkpoints, causing major problems.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Next news. Russian hate Faisal depot in Lviv ahead of Biden's speech in nearby Poland. CNN Lemon report from the scenes of the airstrike near Lviv, Ukraine is virus born in the aftermath of what Ukrainian officials say was a Ukrainian attack.
This is CNN breaking news.
A fuel storage area. We heard 3 blasts. And now CNN's Don Lemon is on the ground there, on the scene. Don, give us a sense of what you're seeing.
We're just trying to get some information here as to what we're seeing, John. And at first, according to the mayor and the military minister here, they said it was 3 strikes. We're being told now at least 2 missiles struck Lviv on Saturday. Reports of at least 5 people injured. That is according to the governor. The governor added there's still threats of more missile strikes and said that he's posting information on social media to make sure information about what was involved in a residential building or other infrastructure objects. That was not confirmed. But again, the flames are pouring out of this building. There are more people showing up, more emergency workers and media. But just to show you, these flames are still going. And as you said, John, rightly so. Being from, I grew up in Louisiana, and there are fuel refineries up and down the river really close to where I live, and there were fires, sadly, that would happen occasionally, and it would take sometimes days for them to burn out. And what they would do is they would set a control and just let the fires burn out. Environmentally, it's not good, but it's the best that you can do in this situation. But what they're doing now, I can only imagine, and well, not imagine, I'm sure what they're doing now is trying to keep it off of the other tanks and keep this fire from spreading not only further into that facility, but into this residential neighborhood. Pete, I don't know, can you see through there? Or you can see some of the firefighters on the scene there, right to the right of this building, just to the corner of that building. You can see some of the firefighters on the scene, and they're putting the fire retardant on there. No water on this situation, not on a chemical fire. They're not using water on that. But John, I was surprised. You talked about this being, relatively safe as you can be in a war. This city, far west from where the rockets and the bombs had been happening in Kyiv and Kherson and in the eastern Donbass area. This is probably the biggest city west of that, and it was thought to be safe. But I am surprised, as you are, that this is as close to downtown, the city, as it is. At first we were told, we thought it was in a neighborhood a little bit further, and that was a valley, and that we'd have to travel some distance. But we hopped in our van with our security people, with our minders and our fixers and translators, and we were here in no time. This is really, really close to downtown Lviv. And again, we don't know if this is a signal that they're sending to the president. It's sending to NATO and the allies who are meeting in Poland with President Biden, or if there is indeed some sort of precision strategy, something as to why they hit this particular facility. But it is frightening, it is strange, and there doesn't appear to be any strategy, and it's the exact opposite of what the Russian officials were saying yesterday, that they were going to somehow limit what they were doing in this country.
This is CNN breaking news.